Yes, thank you so much for joining, Candace. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
That's good. I'm also well. I am good. Yes. Well, I'll start with a formal introduction. So,
Okay.
welcome to another episode of a Tall Woman's Perspective podcast. I am your host, Raya, and I have a lovely guest, Miss Candace, here joining me today.
Hello. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes, no problem. So I know you're new here to my podcast, so I always like to start off with a little this or that just to break the ice with the episode and a good entryway into it.
Awesome.
All right. So the first one category is social media platforms. Would you rather Instagram or
Threads.
Threads?
100%.
You said that quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
For
So
sure.
I'll answer them with you. Can I ask why? Did you answer that one with ease?
Yes, I just think that the algorithm over there is just dialed in. I love that it's so easy to create. You can just use text. You don't have to curate videos and pictures and
Mhm.
all that.
Mhm.
And I would say of my guesting podcast connections and networking that I've been doing since January, it's
Mhm.
all been threads.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't say enough good things about it.
Wow. I'm gonna answer them with you, and I've had Threads for some time, but I haven't really been over there. Instagram has kind of been my stumping grounds, but
Okay.
lately I'm like, oh, I really like Threads. Like I like this.
For sure.
Yeah, so all of what you just said, and I do, it just seems so much more easier,
Mhm.
especially with the algorithm over there. Instagram, I feel like I'm like trying to find my way again. I
Right.
thought I had a handle on it, but now I'm just like, I don't really know.
It does seem like there's been some updates recently that have really changed
Hmm.
a few things over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I did see they took the note option away that you can leave on the reels. I'm like, they just told us we can use it, and now it's taken away.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. All right, so our next one is food categories. Would you rather Mexican or Italian?
Ooh, I like both of those. I'll go Mexican. We have a really great little locally owned Mexican restaurant in town that I love.
Okay. What's your favorite dish?
Uh, Chicken fajitas.
Ooh, okay, okay.
Mm.
I'm like so standard. I'm gonna go with a taco for sure, but fish or shrimp. I love fish and shrimp
Oh
tacos.
yeah, fish tacos are awesome.
Yes, and I gotta get the beans and rice on the side.
Yes.
That's like a go-to,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah. All right, so next one is, as my fellow tall girl, date night. If you're stepping out, your outfit, shoes. Are you putting on a pair of heels or are you going to go with flats?
If you ask me back in my college days, I was on the basketball team in college and we always rocked the heels. We didn't care. I still don't care, but I love just some sneakers,
Mhm.
flats
Mhm.
nowadays. Yeah, how
I,
about you?
I love heels too. I'm 5'7". I'm going to put my heels
Yep.
on, but I agree with you. As I'm getting older, comfort,
Yeah.
comfort. So I'll throw on a pair of sneakers or heels, and I mean not heels, flats in a second, just for
Yep.
comfort. But if I feel like I want to get really cute and I'm gonna put some heels on,
Yep.
I want to do it. But I'll have flats nearby. Flats
For
will be
sure.
in the car.
Yes, for emergencies.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So that just breaks the ice. Our game kind of finishes there. That was a good one. I loved your answers.
That was fun.
Yes, yes. All right. So what motivated you to become a podcast? Well, to get into
Yeah.
podcasting.
Well, I was used to be a teacher. I'm not anymore, but during that time, I had my three kids kind of back to back to back and started dabbling in like a wellness, accountability, network marketing group. And at that time I felt really isolated and like my motherhood journey like was not being talked about. And so I started feeling the nudge then
Hmm.
that if I could just like share and get the confidence and squash some doubts and start sharing my own
Right.
story, that could help other women and other moms specifically. So
Hmm.
it is kind of vamped into helping people with their podcasts and teaching on that and
Hmm.
podcast guesting.
Hmm.
And then my guest episodes are entrepreneurial focused. So I have a lot of female entrepreneurs on sharing their different journeys into entrepreneurship. Everyone's is so different.
Mm-hmm.
So I love to hear that and highlight that. And my goal, though, has really stayed the same in that I want to give more women a voice. And through that, it allows more of us to feel seen and heard and validated. And once you feel like someone has really seen you and really understands you and you listen to that,
Yes.
there's just no better feeling. So
Yes.
I just want that for all of us.
Yes. Yes. And I'm glad you brought that point up because I seen the post on your page that I loved because I was like, okay, as a mom, also a mom, and then entrepreneurship, and it's like, the two, trying to mesh the two, and I forget exactly what the post said. Hopefully, you know exactly what post I'm talking about because I was like, yes, this is perfect. I love that she's talking about this. It's great. I know it can be tough at times. Like I find myself like juggling, motherhood, and then like, oh, I got to make sure I get an episode out. I'm trying to stay committed and stay consistent with the episodes, but I have been, well, September of this year will be 2 years for my podcast. So still kind of fairly new. Yeah, but I know as I went on and I got over the hurdle of being so anxious and nervous about the first episode, well, the first three, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. But the more I went on and I did more episodes, I got more comfortable and, just speaking to other business owners. And I'm like, okay, I felt so much more comfortable. And I was like, thinking to myself, like, I can do
Yeah.
this. I can do
It's
it.
like, it's all about letting yourself be a beginner. We
Yes.
listen to podcasts probably, and
Mhm.
that's what I for sure did before I started my own. And especially like the bigger ones who have a full production team, and we want to like walk in on day one
Yes.
and be at that level, and it's just
Mhm.
not the case. And truly, your people will appreciate being brought along for that ride, though, and
Yes.
senior improvement. It's gonna just be this great proof that they can do it too. And so I
Mhm.
like sharing the mess and sharing the growth. So my first episodes from almost 4 years ago, they're still out, they're
Mhm.
unedited. There's all those things. I didn't know those skills,
Right.
but I just had to decide one day, like, I am going to start with what I have figured out so far, and
Right.
that's going to be good enough. And you can add more, more skills and things as you go.
Right. Right. And I love that point because for me, I kind of jumped into it as comparing to other big production podcasts. And I'm like, well, I gotta have this done and this has to be done. And I'll wait, I'll get to it. I want to add more to it. But as I went along, I just added more things into it. And I do go back and I listen to my other podcasts, like the first 3 episodes. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I learned from each one. Like,
Mhm.
okay, like I know next episode, okay, I can do this a little different or I can add this into it. So it's definitely a great learning experience for sure. I will say
Yes.
that.
Hitting play or hitting record on that first episode, you learn so much
Hmm.
more than all the Googling and things, which it's great that you can find these answers. Or like I have a free podcast setup guide. Someone could grab that and run with it. It's what
Hmm.
I use, but people like me have things out like that. But it's also just diving in and taking that messy inspired action because you learn so
Hmm.
much when you're actually doing the
Yeah.
thing, versus continuing to think, I gotta learn one more thing, I gotta learn one more
Mhm.
thing. Just getting started is really a big deal.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I feel like once you actually get started, it's like, okay, it's off to the races from that
Yes.
point. It's like, okay, I did it. I got my first episode out the way.
For sure.
Yes, yes. Well, tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, so it's called Better Brave, your podcasting mentor. And like I said, I bring guests on to highlight the entrepreneurial journeys, and there's always some teaching or like tips and tricks that you can take away. I like tangible, quick things that we can just grab and go do. And then my solo episodes tend to focus on mindset work as well as podcasting growth, podcast guesting, and navigating that and really using that as a growth and visibility strategy.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And what type of services do you offer?
Yes. So I do some offloading work where I can take over editing work and post-production type things for podcasters. But then I also do like one-on-one calls to talk through strategy and planning and
Mhm.
guesting planning. So my favorite thing right now is talking with and helping people find a line podcast to guest on and utilizing that as sort of long form content that's
Mhm.
searchable. It's different than a social media post, as you know, and so it can really go a long
Yes.
way in building your authority and really honing in on your own messaging too and building that confidence. So
Mhm.
it's a great tool. I think it's underutilized, and it's just also another way to network and make really great connections. When you vibe with that host, it
Right.
tends to be a great opportunity for collaborations later and referrals.
Mhm.
So I help people with that, whether it's me finding the shows for them or just coaching them through making sure that their speaking points and offers and things like that are really cohesive. Yeah.
Wow. Candace, it's like you're like a one-stop shop. If you want to get into the
You want to be
listen, the podcast
a podcast?
world.
Let's do it.
Yes, definitely. Such great resources and services that you offer because I'm just thinking back to when I got started. I was like, so a little background. So my friend actually talked me into starting the
Okay.
podcast. Yeah, like we would have these conversations and he would always say like, you'll be great, like to just start your own podcast. And I'm like, I'm more naturally an introvert.
Thank
So I'm like, ah,
you.
you too? Wow, look at that. And I was like, talking myself out of it. No, 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 I don't think it's for me. I don't think it's for me. And then one day I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And then the best thing he always told me was like, you know, like just get started, like just try it, try the first episode. And like I was like, okay, I want to do the trial episode first, but the trial wound up being the actual first episode and he
Uh,
was recording the whole thing. And I was like, you know what, like just go for it, like put it out, let's see. And I
oh,
got so much great and positive feedback from it too, and so of course that made me feel like, okay, like girl, you can
yeah,
do this, go ahead, you got
I love
it.
it. And
Yeah.
like other introverts think that we write podcasting off right away. We're like, well, we can't do that. I'm introverted.
Yes,
But I think
yes.
it's a perfect thing because I don't want to go to a big networking event where,
Mhm.
business card stuffy and you pass that out, right?
Right,
So this though is awesome. And you tend to skip over like the fluff and like the chit chat and you dive so deep into conversation, which most introverts love.
right.
So I think podcasting or podcast guesting is like perfect for introverts.
You know what? I wish I looked at it that way. Initially, it took for me to actually get into the groove of it. So, like, okay, like I can do this. Like, I like it because me, I'm the same way. Like, please don't put me in front of a huge crowd, and then I gotta go out there, and I'm like, oh, good, I'm nervous. So it is a little more intimate. I feel
Mhm.
like you can, do the episodes the way you want to do the episodes, and it just kind of flows better for introverts.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. Yes, yes. So I have to ask, as far as social media and the algorithm, I will say Instagram for sure. How do you deal with keeping up with the algorithm?
To be totally honest, I try to just keep showing up and not give too much thought to it. It's not my favorite thing, and so I lean more towards trying to have like SEO keywords in my podcast episode titles and
Mhm.
the website, things like that, because I feel like the algorithm just cannot be relied on. But I am not an
Yeah.
expert in that field at all, so I try to control what I can control, and I know I can control that. And I think it kind of can go a lot further for you when you focus on some of those SEO things, because when people go to Google and they're looking for what you do, if you
Mhm.
can have that throughout your for sure your title of your episodes and even your title of your show, those things are searchable. So that can be a really great way for people to find you and just forget about social media.
Yeah.
Although I do show up on it, I do keep posting, but I try to just lean more towards like whatever I won't procrastinate and share just what I feel like sharing. And I think that kind of can help draw, your people to you instead
Right.
of worrying about it. But yeah, I
Right.
I don't love it, the algorithm, and I feel like it's always changing. So
Yeah.
you cannot be trusted.
I second that because I found myself like in a burnout because I'm like, okay, you're chasing the algorithm and you're trying to make sure you have the right word and phrases there. And I was like, you know what? I'm like overwhelmed and burnt out. And I'm like, I'm off of social media now. But I'm like, no, you have to promote your podcast. Like,
Right.
you can't just, throw away with it and just trying to keep up. And each platform is different, of course, the social media platforms. And so it's like, okay, let me just try to find something that kind of works for everything. But it's no way possible to do that. But
Right.
just trying to stay afloat and trying to stay relevant. But it's tough trying to chase the algorithm. So just like you, I decided I'm like, you know what? Like, let me just get everything out there and, you know, like I said, navigating more towards getting on other social medias. Instagram has been the stomping ground, but hey, I gotta kind of spread the love between all of the social media platforms. So, woo, I get that, and it's good to know that I'm not like the only one. Like at one point, I was really chasing it. I'm like,
Oh god.
okay, yeah, yeah, but I was like spending so much time on social media too, and I'm like, my screen time is increasing over here. It's just too much.
Yeah. Advice that someone gave me one time was, you can utilize the scheduling option for most social media platforms. And so that can be a way where you can batch it and at least get your episodes posted
Mhm.
onto social media. but then, pick your favorite platform that you actually engage on. So yes, you
Mm-hmm.
go up on multiple ones, but maybe you
Right.
realize the scheduling, because yeah, it's going to lead to burnout for sure. I agree. I've been there too. And so most of my engagement is over on threads. I do still show up on Instagram too,
Mm-hmm.
but heavily threads. But yeah, just kind of gave me permission to sort of release those high expectations of like, I mean, it's endless how many platforms you could be on
Right.
and trying your show and thinking you're not doing enough. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I couldn't agree any more, excuse me, because I'm like, man, I knew it wasn't just me, but I haven't spoken to too many other podcasters, and so this is just great to know it wasn't only me.
not you, no.
Yes. Now, I did hear you say that you were a teacher.
Yes,
Yeah, so like how was that? Did you transition from teaching into the podcasting world?
kind of. There were a lot of pivots in there. So I taught for 13 years. I felt like I was getting kind of burnt out, not so much from teaching, just I felt drained when I got home. I didn't not like teaching, but I had my own kids, and so it was like you can't come home and just take a nap and
Nope.
crash. You have
Nope.
little humans to keep alive that need
Mhm.
you. They need to be fed, bathed, and put to bed. So
Mhm.
like that my kids kept getting like my leftovers, and that's what it felt like to me. So eventually I did make the decision with my spouse, tough conversations, because he's a teacher too. We thought we were both going to teach for our life, and
Wow.
so threw curveball in there. But
Mhm.
I've been out of the classroom 3 years now, and my podcast is almost 4 years old. So I did start my podcast while I was still
Mhm.
teaching, it on the side. And then, once I left, it took it a lot more serious. And, even within the last year and a half, I've really gotten intentional about the guests I bring on. I've gotten intentional about making sure that I do more solo episodes,
Mhm.
because sometimes, especially for me, I have a service-based business. And so I don't want to just be seen as someone that's really good at interviewing guests. I also
Right.
want to be positioned as, hey, I have these skills and this
Mhm.
knowledge to help
Mm.
you with these things. I love podcasts because they give people free value. So you could just listen to the podcast, take the things I say and run with it. But then if you want to go deeper and further, there's that option too to work with me. So yes, I left and I continued podcasting, but I
Mhm.
wouldn't say it was my business in the first 2 years. It was more like I was just producing this show. And I was trying to figure out like what I was going to narrow in on
Mhm.
and kind of niche down on.
Mhm.
Um, so I was utilizing a lot of skills that I had, lots of platforms like Squarespace, Flowdesk, all these things that I knew how to do because I did them for myself. But trying to decide, which part do I love and which part lights me up. And it was kind of a light bulb moment about a year ago where I was
Wow.
the only thing through burnout, through all the pivots that never went away was
Mhm.
podcasting. And so it was like
Mhm.
so weird, it's one of those days you're like, why did I? This was so hard to know the direction I was supposed to go because it seems so clear now, but it
Right.
wasn't. It was so muddy then. And, there was lots of things when you leave a career that you've said, I'm a
Right.
teacher for over a, and now you're not. And so there's like this identity crisis shift and you're like, what am I now? So
Right. 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 Because you couldn't initially, like you said, you didn't see it. It's like, okay, no, I'm going to be a teacher. This is my career path. But now, like, hey, podcasting is it. Like, this is my thing.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so dope in me. I like to see that for sure, especially being in the podcast world. And I like that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, were you, like, what were you before you got into this?
So I'm in the medical field.
Okay.
And so that's been my career path. I'm still in the medical field. Yeah, so doing
I,
yeah. And so just juggling the two,
yeah.
along with motherhood. That's the other job. So the three, and just learning as the episodes go on and just remaining consistent. One thing I love that you pointed out, as far as I also interview other business owners and just people, other co-hosts, well, not co-hosts, but people I'll have that come on that are guests, and I'm just like, it's not really episodes that I'm doing by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to come up with, starting this year, it was 12 pages of 2025. And I was like, okay, so this is going to be where it's just me. Like, I don't have a guest that's coming on with me for that segment. And I'm like, okay, I like that. Like you said, like I have so many other things to offer outside of just interviewing someone.
Mm-hmm. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. So that has been a transition, and just staying consistent and juggling everything. But I like it so far. It's
Good.
good. Yeah. Yep. So that's really nice. I like that. that to me, like you said, you felt the spark within you to say like, hey, like everything is aligning with podcasting. That's so new. I like
Yeah, for
that.
sure.
Yes. Alrighty. Now, I've been hearing this a lot lately. I've been hearing a lot of people say, like, okay, like another podcast. Someone's making another podcast. Like, there's so many other things for you to do. How do you feel about that? Being a podcaster yourself and then also helping other people get into the podcast world.
Yeah, I hear that too all the time. Like it's already saturated. There's too many podcasts. But the
Hmm.
reality is there are billions and billions of people in this world, and
Yes.
there's plenty for all of us. And also
Hmm.
with that, I think it's something to know or just have an awareness of is it's like some staggering statistic that 90 some percent of podcasts don't make it to episode 10. So
Hmm.
when you do start one, you want to be ready for the long game. It's not really a quick thing. You,
Hmm.
you have that understanding in the beginning that you're just going to be in it and you're going to make it happen. It can be a really great tool for you to, share your knowledge, share your experiences and all that with people that are waiting for you. I say that too. Like there's an abundance. There is room for all of us. You
Hmm.
know, people that relate to me might not relate to you, but the ones that relate to you might not relate to me. Like that is
Hmm.
where this beautiful networking between podcast hosts and people
Yes.
in your field can come into play because now you can say, hey, well, I don't think you're a fit for me to a client, but let me connect you with Raya because
Yeah.
he does that. So
Hmm.
I think it's just this wonderful thing that can really be a great tool for you and your business. And I would not worry about it being saturated because there are people that are literally waiting for your story, your take on things,
Hmm.
for you to share that piece so that they can finally feel seen, finally feel validated
Yes.
because they relate to you and they're going to be your people.
Yes. Yes. I completely agree with you. And I always look at it, it's like no one person is the exact same.
Yes.
So everyone you can carve out your own little lane, and
Mhm.
here's your podcast, and then it can be completely different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So that's great. I love to hear that. And then hopefully, this will inspire someone who is thinking like, hey, I want to start a podcast, but they have the naysayer in their ear and saying, no, another podcast is too many. Like, no, cut them out and just
Yes.
do exactly what you want to do. Get
Yeah.
started. Yes,
There's this,
yes.
so you'll learn fast in the entrepreneurial world if you're not there yet, but
Hmm.
you're listening that certain things that you're doing that you are excited to share about,
Hmm.
not everybody is the person that you should share that with. Like there,
Right.
you'll find your select few people that are gonna
Hmm.
cheer for you, be excited for you, ask productive questions, and not just throw like their own doubt and fears onto you because that
Hmm.
squashes so many dreams so fast. You're already doubting things yourself,
Right.
but it's this like baby stage.
Hmm.
So you learn, or I learned for sure quickly, like who to share the early
Right.
things with and who just not to. And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean we don't love those people or can have
Hmm.
relationships with those people. It's just they might not be in the same mindset to
Hmm.
understand all of this. It's a different thing to be an entrepreneur and a podcaster than it is to, be in a job working for someone else. They're very different.
Yes, yes, completely different. And I couldn't agree with you more because it's like oh wow. I'm just having flashbacks as to when I started. And it was like, so many people were happy for me. But then when you have conversations with other people, it's like, oh, okay. Like you said, it's a mindset thing. So I can kind of see where your mindset is. And it's not to say that they're not happy for you,
Right.
but it's like, okay, you kind of don't get where I'm coming from. And that's okay,
Yeah.
and
Not like
they're
one
still
is
supportive. Hmm.
absolutely not like one is good or bad or vice versa. It's just two different things. And,
Right.
if they're not in that mindset, and it's going to be hard for them to kind of, it's like you're speaking two different languages, I guess. It's
Yes.
hard to kind of
Hmm.
understand. So
Hmm.
you could just show them, you just walk your path and let them see what it is. And then they might gain some understanding and
Right.
see what you're all about.
Mm-hmm. And then that's usually, I feel like for me, like I've been experiencing it. Once I got past like the first 15 episodes, that's like, oh, okay, you're getting questions now, right? From those that
Yeah.
didn't really truly understand the mindset, but it's like, okay. And I think honestly too, it's like once they see that like you're committed to it, it's like you mentioned,
Yeah.
this is not a 10 episode podcast thing. It's like they see, your passion and they see your drive for it as
Yeah.
the episodes go on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, someone that's brand new starting out in the podcast world, if they ask for advice, what would you give them? Like, hey, this is what you should do, or I wouldn't say what you should do or what you should not do, but what advice would you give to someone?
Yeah. Things to consider right away would be who do you want to talk to? Because and when people give advice, I always say it's because we did this and we made this mistake and now we've learned and we can share about it. So I'm not coming at you
Mm-hmm.
as here. I try to speak to everyone in the beginning, right? You just want podcast is for everybody, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
it feels kind of scary, nerve-wracking to narrow it down. But the reality is your people are going to come to you so much faster because they're going to know exactly what you're about if you can really hone in on
Mm-hmm.
who it is that you want to speak to. So think about that before launching, and just think about who is your listener. What problems do they have? What value are you going to give to them, or is it to make them laugh or entertain them? Like, what is the purpose?
Mm-hmm.
Also think about the goals of your podcast. Is it because you have a service-based business and you want this to be a tool to coincide with that? Or
Right.
is it for fun? Is it a passion project? Is it to
Mm-hmm.
awareness and spread a certain message? Like that comes into play, and that helps you navigate. Am I going to do all guest episodes? Am I going to make sure I have solo episodes? Like that's how you can kind of map out a plan. And of course, you're going to learn who you're speaking to more and more and more as you
Right.
go. But
Mm-hmm.
having a little bit of intentional thought about that to begin with will go a long way. And then I always just say, keep it simple. There's so many pieces that you could learn about podcasting. You could learn editing. You could learn how to put music
Mm-hmm.
onto an intro. There is endless things. So I just do audio for mine. I know lots of people that still just do audio. It's still a thing. You can do
Right.
it. If video scares you, you can add that later. But just keep it as simple as you can, and then you can add things as you go, because right away it's this huge learning curve. It's new stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to take you so much longer to do everything,
Right.
but you eventually it'll just become part of you, and it won't be hard or feel hard to get a weekly episode out or a bi-weekly episode out. And when that happens, now you can do a little more, or learn to edit, or those types of things can come into play at that point. But I just start with a mic. It doesn't have to be fancy, and
Mm-hmm.
figure out what you're going to record on,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's Instagram Live. This is actually the second one I've done like
Right.
this. Very cool way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Take this video and now put it over on YouTube. And that's the third thing. Figure out what platform you want to host your podcast. I happen to use Buzzsprout.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy with that.
Okay.
But that's a quick, simple Google search of like podcasting platforms or hosting platforms. So
Mm-hmm.
really all you need, and you can get started. But definitely you're never going to feel ready. So let yourself be a beginner and get
Yes.
started, because you're going to learn so much as you go. But that's the bits that I would start with, and pieces that I would
Mm-hmm.
start with. And then once you do it, tell people about it, because we
Get it out there.
think that, yeah, we think like if you build it, they will come. Like, I don't know if you've seen the Field of Dreams movie with Kevin Costner, where it's like, build the field and they will come. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the case. Like, we need to tell people about
You
our,
make sure.
yeah,
Absolutely. Don't
yeah,
keep
but it's
it.
scary in the beginning. I
Right.
remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like I really want to do this, but I hope like my coworkers don't see it, or I hope I hope
Oh
like
my
but it's like, wait. The whole point is for people to hear this and
goodness, it
see this.
is.
So
Yes.
yeah, so you gotta tell people. And
Uh-huh.
with that, I guess, and I'm piling too many things onto you. I'm probably overwhelming you, but hopefully they're simple enough. With that,
No, this is
work,
great.
good,
Yeah,
work on
because they,
your mindset.
yeah, they need
Have
to
to.
hear it. And it's two introverts. It's like, hey, I also went through that phase of like, do I want to tell this, the coworker or whoever, do I want to tell this person I have a
Yeah.
podcast? But I'm like, Mariah, you have to get out, like, girl, get it out there.
Yes.
Let people
Yes.
know. Yeah, you have to network. Let people know you have a podcast.
Yes.
Social media is not going to do it all for you. So
Right.
that's great advice. I love
Yeah.
that.
And then I would say work on your mindset,
Hmm.
because you are going to fall. Still, this happens to me where there's weeks where I'm like, who am I to be talking about this? But it's like your people are just trying to get to where you
Hmm.
are. So that qualifies you as the expert for your people. So we don't need, I mean, unless you're like a doctor or something where we do need degrees.
Hmm.
In this, like where I'm helping people with a podcast, it's hard for me, a millennial that thinks like I need to have a college degree. We've been trained that, but we do
Same.
not. Yeah, but we do not need that in this case, right? We have our experiences that we can share, and people want to know, how did you get to this point?
Right.
And so that qualifies you as having enough knowledge
Yeah,
to
you're more
build
than
culture.
qualified for it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you like, hey, like I went
yeah,
through it and I can give you the layout because I went through
yeah,
it and look where I am now.
yes,
Yeah, so it doesn't
absolutely.
get any better than that as far as I would think that way. Like, okay, I want to see, because and not everything is always perfect, when you roll it out. It's like I want to see the ups, the downs, like when you
Yes,
first started. So be okay to go through the beginner stage.
yes,
Definitely
hmm,
be okay with that and learn that as long as you stay committed, the growth, it will definitely be there.
yes,
Definitely.
100%.
Yes. That was great advice, Candace. I love that. Really. Yes. Well, what else can we expect from you in the future?
Mm. Lots more of teaching and dropping tips on my social media and on my podcast about podcast guesting. That is where my heart is leading me right at this moment.
Yes.
I think it's just a very aligned thing for so many of us mothers, female entrepreneurs who we wear so many hats. We are super busy. We do not have time to be social media managers, podcast,
Yes.
all
It's
of
so draining.
yeah. So if we can utilize guesting on podcasts
Mhm.
and doing that type of thing, it's just going to go such a long way in our visibility and our authority. And it's just the ripple effects of that and the networking and people feeling seen and heard by more of us having a voice is just where I'm at. So that involves coaching people on it. I have
Yes.
a kind of a mini course that's just came out this week, a 3 video series of exactly how I have been booking myself 2 to 3 guesting spots a week
Nice.
since
Yeah.
January, just very easy, and what's
Mhm.
working and what not to do. So, and just also from a hosting standpoint, how to really align your speaking points and offers to
Mhm.
really be very impactful when you do show up on someone's show, and provide their audience with a ton of value. So, um,
Mhm.
yeah, so that's where I'm at for right now is
Mhm.
leaning into that because I just think the ripple effects from people doing
Mhm.
it is so great.
And I will say you showed up today and did absolutely that because I will say as many podcasts, that I have seen, new, old, like I haven't really seen one that specifically focuses on podcast
Mm-hmm.
guesting and like pitching how to become a guest or to get more guests on your podcast. So honestly, I have not. So that's perfect. That's
Yeah,
perfect. I love that you're honing in on it.
yeah, it's an underused tool, I think, and
Hmm.
that's another reason I'm like, no, people need to consider this and think about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I'm just thinking back even to other guests that I've had on my show, like how, the reach and like my audience and their audience, two completely different audiences. But
Mm-hmm.
once we did the episode, it's like, hey, I remember you from this episode, or I
Yes.
remember seeing you. So the reach alone, like, I
Mm-hmm.
love that. I
Yeah.
love it. And
Yeah. Go
oh no,
ahead.
I was going to ask once you're finished, like if you can definitely just let them know exactly where they can book that service because it's great
Yeah.
and it's crucial. That's a perfect tool.
Yes. My name basically is everything. CandaceDudley.com, Candace Dudley on here on Threads. So you can find me just at my name. Links are everywhere in the bio on my website. So it should be pretty easy to find, or just DM me because I'm a solopreneur. So it's me behind the screen and I love to hear
Mhm.
even what you just thought of this or any takeaways you had. Would love to hear about it.
Yes, that's nice. And then you also offer one-on-ones as well?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, for
Oh,
sure. So if you just want a quick one hitter call, because sometimes we don't want to invest and we don't want to have like this long term thing. So
uh-huh.
nice to have someone to bounce things off of.
Seriously. Like I said at the beginning of that, you seem like a one-stop shop. Listen.
I try to
I
what I needed back when I was first
mhm.
starting. That I try to
And
have
that's
available. So
exactly what I'm feeling right now. That's why I'm
yeah,
like, man, like I'm thinking back to when I wish you were like we've been crossed each other's paths then because,
yes,
just all of what the services that you offer, it's like, hey, this is something, if you're looking to get started in the podcasting world, you're already offering it. It's like that's perfect. That's perfect.
for sure, for sure. I hope so. Yes,
Yes, yes. Well, that completes the end of the
I loved
episode.
it.
Thank you so much for joining. This was
This
perfect. This was
was so
perfect.
fun. I love this. So good. Thank you
Yes.
for.
Yes, you are welcome. And I always like to extend my welcome to all of my guests. So if you ever want to come back on and promote anything else, you're always more than welcome to.
Amazing. Yeah, we probably have more to talk about for sure.
Definitely so. Look, I'm already like a mental note up here. Like, okay, I got to make sure
Yes,
let me hit Candace up.
I'm down. I'm in. So
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Well, thanks again. It's been a joy. So, just so you'll know, so the episodes do get uploaded to YouTube as well, and then all of the streaming platforms.
awesome, awesome.
So I'll be,
I'll share
tagging you
it.
and keeping you updated.
Awesome. I'll be sharing it.
Alrighty, perfect.
Great.
Well, you have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Thanks again. Bye bye.